Hello everyone, Brett the Comic Novice here, and we are now in the fourth appearance of Spider-Boy, found within the pages of Spider-Man, issue number 10. Fifth, I guess, if you'd like to count the Edge of the Spider-Verse number 3, where, we get more detail regarding Bailey Briggs as the Spider-Boy. And I will tell you, and for those of you that are in the comments that are not particularly Dan Slott fans, just come to know that he needed a co-writer in order to get this issue completed. So, just know that, and again, this is the 10th issue of Spider-Man. This is the 10th issue I've ever read of Dan Slott. So I don't know the complaints or the dislike that some of you have. I do know not a nice person on Twitter. But again, some people are not nice on Twitter. And whatever. They're probably my friends in real life. Anyway, that being said, this is the final story of the maxed out storyline within the Spider-Man book. And I'm glad that it is 3 issues long, because I found that the 7 issues of the end of the Spider-Verse or whatever, the first trade that they did under this new Spider-Man title, was way too long. It should have been shortened to at least 5 issues. 7 was way too long. This is actually, to me, perfectly paced out. However, I will say that there are certain things, again, not having read many Dan Slott things, I don't know if he did any Slott-isms, if that's a thing, but there's a couple things that kind of just felt odd. Within the fight between between the Electro and Spider-Man, Electro is worried that Spider-Man, his fight is going to look too wrestling, cartoonish type of a thing, and that it doesn't look real enough. Why would a villain worry that a fight with his superhero nemesis not look real enough? And it's just a weird dialogue, in all honesty. The whole growing fangs for the Spider-Boy and chomping down onto, or hissing and then chomping down on Electro, again, might be because, chalk that up to, a kid having fun, but it's just weird. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then also in previous issues of this maxed out series, when, after Peter Parker souped up his powers in issue 8 and 9, the Gold Goblin, Norman Osborn, needed to throw a Green Goblin pumpkin at Spider-Man to kind of deaden his superpowers, his spider sense, because he was, it was too much for him. It was overloading his brain to the point where it would probably melt, catch on fire, and then leak out of his nose. So we go into that from issue number 9. Norman Osborn's trying to undo the whole thing. And then you have Spider-Man, who is annoyed that this superpower that is going to kill him got taken away from him, even though we already kind of had a discussion and the need for this to happen in issue before. So there's just some odd writing right there. I feel as though it's kind of inconsistent. But besides that, let's look at the whole Spider-Boy situation, where Spider-Boy comes to the aid of Spider-Man, his the supposed sidekick of Spider-Man. I like the fact that Peter Parker is kind of outraged that this kid would help him out. I think maybe you kind of wonder if this is still some of the effects of the death of Gwen Stacy playing a role in his life, not wanting to risk a kid, in a battle with a super villain. You also have Electro, who is actually does not want to hurt, punch, or maim this small child. He might be a supervillain, but he's not that bad until, the Spider-Boy, really starts irking him. Then he's like, all right, this is enough. Maybe I'll make an exception just for you. But it's interesting because also within this story, we kind of get the setup that Bailey Briggs told Spider-Man that this is not the first time he's tried to soup up his powers in order to kind of help more people. He, according to Spider-Boy, that he's done this before because he wanted to mirror the spider sense that Bailey Briggs has, where he can focus in on the individual that needs the help at the time, instead of, what he did is where he, almost has a small city block that he is able to, feel everybody's panic, whether they are eating a hot dog that might, cause a heart attack later, or, some girl broke up with her boyfriend and that's causing her stress or whatever. Like, you have that kind of situation right there compared to what Bailey Briggs. So it's kind of interesting that, perhaps, because one theory was that Bailey Briggs is, not who he says he is. He's actually, he could be a, sinister villain. He could be something else, according to somebody that's mentioned that this could be like a Doc Ock type of a thing. I do know a little bit about, never read this series, but I do know about the whole Clone Saga situation. So, and I feel as though that is not a thing right here. And obviously, because this is going to have an ongoing Spider-Boy series. So again, don't think that that's going to be a thing. Interesting thing regarding the whole Spider-Boy suit, though. And I've looked at every single panel that Spider-Boy has appeared in. And when he grows the fangs to shoot Electro with the venom, the paralyzing venom, his costume grows 4 additional eyes right above the costume head, which is so weird. It appears in no other panel except for that moment. So his spider suit, does it do that? It obviously it grows fangs and has a paralysis agent, but then you also have Bailey saying that, near the very end where he's thinking that maybe Peter Parker has changed his mind, maybe, I will be your sidekick or whatever. He's hoping that he will finally be able to get a web slinger or shooter like Peter Parker does. Again, of course, Peter Parker looking out for a small child, which I can fully support. But it's weird because, again, Bailey comes from a time, or at least in his life, where he was a supporting character with Spider-Man, and he values and he so much desires to not only have that back, but also for people to remember who he is. And I feel as though that is kind of going to be what's going to lead us and propel us into the next series, starting with issue number 11, that leads us all the way up into the Spider-Boy book in November of 2023. There's a lot of interesting things that are going to happen. I'm going to peel back a couple of layers, do probably another Spider-Boy video regarding the possibilities of that and what to look forward to. And I think there is something to kind of be somewhat concerned revolving around the Spider-Boy. But again, just kind of being a tad bit skeptical. I think a healthy skepticism is okay. Saying everything is horrible is old man get off my lawn type of a talk. And I might be old, but I'm not ready to be that old yet. What do you think about issue number 10 of Spider-Man, written by Dan Slott, co-written by Dan Slott, co-written by Christos Gage? What did you think about that? The Spider-Boy appearance, the Slott-isms? Is it me? Is that a thing that I just noticed, or is it just sloppy writing? I don't know. Maybe it's 2 writers writing in the same book, and the 2 different kind of styles kind of didn't really work. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Like, subscribe. Comment down below. I do appreciate it. And until next time, I will see you in the dollar section where, according to Dan Slott, the issues 7 and 8, and I believe Edge of the Spider-Verse number 3 have all gotten a second printing. So I will see you in the dollar section where at least issue number 10 second printing will probably be found. Thanks for watching. Bye.